social media. Tell me how that came
Yeah.
about.
Um, okay. So A Year Playing Catch published in September of 2020. And what needs to be remembered is this is when COVID was going nuts.
Yeah.
And so all in-person things that I had been working towards and planning were canceled. All of my author interviews were Zoom calls or radio calls or even email or whatever. And so one of the things I was supposed to do was track reviews and times that people mentioned the book, and then collect them and send them to my publisher and the marketing team, so they could get an idea of where it was being seen and how it was being seen, what marketing, what was most effective. And I had remembered reading one review, and for some reason I didn't bookmark it or copy it down. And so the next morning I went to Mudhouse Coffee downtown, and I was at the table where I probably wrote 90% of the book. And I was trying to think, where did I read that? And so I thought, oh, I'll just Google my name. If I Google my name, that'll help me track it down. So typed in Ethan Bryan, and the very first thing that pulled up was an obituary.
Hmm.
And when you see your name as an obituary, it it's really shocking. I mean, I remember I think I could feel adrenaline just rush through my body. I felt my heart just really start to pound. And so my first natural thought was, well, this must have been a long time ago. I'd never met another Ethan Bryan. So I decided to click on the link, and I found out that it was only 2 days old, that there was a 16-year-old out of Park Hills, Missouri, who was a baseball player. And he died in an automobile accident on the way home from baseball practice. And I think for like the next 2 hours, I was just reading Ethan Cole Bryan. I was reading about him, pictures and stories that people had posted about him. And it was really emotional. It was very hard to read about the death of a 16-year-old. And then the thought comes in, I mean, he's the same age as my kids. And I mean, that's my worst nightmare, is for me to bury a child. And I couldn't imagine how his parents were feeling. So I had this idea. It was more of like an instinct that I needed to do something. I had to do something. And so I contacted the high school and contacted the principal and said, I didn't expect to read my namesake obituary this morning. It was quite the surprise. And I know what it's like as youth minister, how the death of a young person can affect a community. And I'm so sorry you all are going through this. I have recently written this book, and I know this sounds stupid, but could I send this book to the parents just as a way of letting them know that somebody's thinking of them, that they're not alone? That's the part that kept coming back to me, is I just didn't want them to feel like they're alone, because that would be the worst. So he gave me an address. I signed the book. I sent it to him. And that was it. I mean, September 2020, that was the last that I heard. And I had put it out of my mind. I hadn't thought about it for a while. In December of 2021, I got a phone call from Dan, actually December 31st of 2021, I got a phone call from Dan Bryan. And he's no relation. I mean, we just happened to have the same last. And he called me and said, hey, I'm Ethan's dad. And I devoured your book, and I love this idea. And is it okay with you if I play 365 games of catch in Ethan's memory and Ethan's honor? And I was just stunned. Absolutely. And I said, I'll be your biggest cheerleader that I can. Let me know how I can help. And so he has been playing catch, and with his catch partners, he shares stories about Ethan. But then what's neat is he gets stories back about his son that he'd never heard. And so even though he's not able to make new memories physically with his son, he's still keeping the memory of him actively alive.